Hey everybody, welcome back to Six-Sided Legion. We're going to be talking about the tournament at LVO this past January and kind of how we placed and some things that we liked and didn't like about it.
So I think first thing we should start, there was a total of, I think, 87 players that were registered for the tournament.
Yeah, 13 dropped before the tournament happened.
Yep, 13 dropped, yeah. So it was supposed to be 100 players. So the largest tournament we've ever been to.
And they'd even made room for players as well.
Canceled or moved other events out of the convention hall that we were in to make more room for Kill Team as it's growing into a more popular game. So
yeah,
this took place at the Rio too.
Yep. Hosted by Frontline Gaming, ran by Dakota Luster in the Squad Games group. We used his terrain from his Etsy workshop. Really cool terrain, really unique to Kill Team. It's all very consistent. No wondering if something's gonna work out, or like having a mix of like Chalnath and Octarius, because that doesn't really work out the best. So very good board setups.
Right, and they moderated it all too, and they were the ones setting it up and tearing it down because they had to do that every day because they couldn't leave stuff there.
Yeah. They had to take everything and pack it back in the truck before coming back right in the morning. So
and they did the streaming for it too because they had game streams. So props to them. Huge undertaking. They did very well on that.
It was also set up as 4 games on the first day on Saturday, and then 3 games on the second day. So a little bit larger than like your normal U.S. Open tournaments, which is typically 5.
Yeah.
So a bit bigger, a bit more draining. Maybe not a bit, but
also,
draining.
Yeah.
Also, kind of yet to be seen, but possibly one of the biggest Kill Team tournaments in the U.S. this year. So competing kind of a little bit with KTO, but we'll see. Only time will tell.
See how many players drop KTO.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So how many spaces there.
I think what we can do next is we're going to start talking about some of our own games. We're going to kind of mention a couple of our good games, couple wins and a loss. Yeah. Just maybe some highlights of that. So I can start off with some of my stuff. So first game I wanted to talk about was I had a game. I brought Kazarkin as well, so kind of a little bit more of a niche team. But so I brought them. First game I want to talk about was against Vetguard. This was against Artyom. This was my second game on the first day. That game was, I knew it was going to be tough against most teams that out-activated me. That's, how a lot of Kill Team is. Activation is very important. So knew it was going to be a little bit tough. But the way that game worked out is there were a lot of conceal orders on both sides. And I was just able to, I think, maybe use my few engaged orders a little bit better. Just got him into some very precise spots, and I was able to get some really good shots on a few of his engaged guys. I think I took out I want to say 3 models maybe in the first turning point. I lost nothing.
That's pretty good. That knocks him almost down.
It was.
Your activation.
He was actually able to use his Melta, which I got incredibly lucky. He shot one of my troopers and he survived.
Oh wow!
Very lucky. I think he had a pretty bad roll. And then due to initiative, I think I was able to take him out in the next turning point and all that. But there was also a few kind of placement things. When you have so many models on the board, because there's 24 in that game, not like the most you can have.
But it's still
a lot. It's a lot to keep
yeah.
track of. And there were a few things that kind of got placed in spots where maybe you didn't realize, or you can see down the board. And there were just some things placed in spots where, okay, well, now I have a shot, and I was able to clear some things that way. Kind of even the playing field in that first turning point obviously was very good for me. I think in the third turning point or so, I had gotten one of my normal troopers up in a spot where I could throw a frag up into the spotter and the sniper.
That's huge.
Which was huge because the sniper,
the spotter. The spotter is always unconcealed.
Yeah.
And then the sniper.
And then the spotter is also my assassinate target as well.
Oh, okay. So it was even more beneficial.
It was huge. And killed them both, which was massive. I think at the end of it, I do believe he had 1 left, and I think I had 3 or 4. So in terms of a game where I was very out-activated, ended up very well for me. I was very happy with that. I knew going into Vetguard it'd be difficult based on models. So Can't remember what the objective was. I think it was secure, I want to say. Might have been... What is the other one where you don't have to do the mission objective? Capture. Might have been capture, actually.
It was capture, yeah. Because my round 2 was capture. So,
yeah, that makes sense then. Yep. So, I didn't have to do any mission actions, thankfully. He had a lot more AP than me. APL. So, that was kind of the first game I wanted to mention. I was pretty happy with the way that one went. He was a great opponent as well. And then the second one, also a win that I had. This was the first game on the second day, was against George. He brought Navy Breachers. I had never played against them before, so that was a learning experience for me. Fantastic opponent. He was kind of like the ideal opponent that you want. Just great sport. He super kind. Just great player overall. And we had a great game. I think that was another one I was nervous about just because I've never played them. And it was kind of the same situation where placement he did a very good job placing, but I was able to get a couple shots. I think first turning point, my plasma took out his plasma. My sniper took out his spotter as well. So the same situation where I was able to kind of level the playing field a little bit, like lower his activations down.
Take out some good units.
Yeah. And then I think I got a point on eliminate guards on his cat unit with my sniper.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's a bit overkill using my sniper to shoot the cat.
It's
just
guaranteed
like 5
almost.
health or something.
5 health,
but
saving on like 5.
Yeah. So, but that was cool. Towards the end, he actually almost pulled it back. I thought he was gonna almost even tie it, maybe even take it from me, because he started to control just this one side of the board due to my own poor placement in the end. And I was getting a little bit worried, but I was just barely able to hold on. I think I only won by 2 or 3 points maybe. But that was a really good game. I learned a lot about Breachers, and he learned a lot about Kazarkin too. I know he said he played against them, but not a whole lot. I think he has a buddy who plays him, but I just played him a little bit differently than what he was used to. So I don't know if you can really be used to Kazarkin a whole lot yet. It's still pretty new.
Yeah, I mean,
not really
there's
played a
teams
lot.
that people have never played against them. They're half a year old at this point.
True. So and then the last game I want to talk about, loss I had. I knew it was going to be really tough. I played against Anthony's Wormblade. This was going to be for the number 4 spot in the tournament in the very last game. And I knew that was going to be really tough going into it. I actually started with all conceal orders. Looking back, might not have been the right idea. But I had never played against Wormblade either with Kazarkin. So, I didn't really know what to do. But that sniper... The Sanctus sniper.
Best sniper in the game.
So good.
Yeah.
So not much I could do about that. It actually amazingly did not kill anything, only because my medic was able to save it. But going into the second turning point, I wasn't really set up very well to make a lot of plays. The sniper was just such a scary threat. I couldn't really move up the board in any meaningful way. And then that one I think was secure. I believe it was. There was definitely some sort of mission action.
What, second to last or last?
Last one.
Last round.
I think it was secure.
Yes.
So
so you had to use an APL to take
yes.
points.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Wormblade having that forward deploy, I had nobody contesting those middle points.
And so
he just forward deployed on them, used the APL, took them.
Yes.
And I knew from the end of the first that it was probably not going my way.
Forward deploying sucks.
Yeah.
To play against. Yeah. It's just super unpredictable.
For sure.
Right.
But Anthony was a really good player, though. He played Wormblade differently than I've seen other people play them. So he did a great job. It was a very good game. We had just kind of a lot of fun with it. I think we both probably knew after the first turning point that it was going to him, which was it's totally fine. We had a really fun game. So those are my 3 games. At the end of the tournament, I placed 11th, which was way better than I thought I would do. 5-2 total. So I was really happy with it. Yeah, that's pretty much my main highlights, stuff I wanted to talk about. So,
Cool. All right, I'll talk about my games. I'll be a little bit briefer because I didn't have as many specific notes. But I took Geller Pox to this tournament. It was my first tournament. And I picked them up because I like Nurgle, and I thought they were cool when they came out, and I wanted to get them before anybody else did. So I brought them there because they're really the only competitively viable team
have.
That I have.
Yeah.
So, my first match, I really wanted to play this match. It was a Gellerpox mirror match. I'd been saying it like the day before. Like, that's if I do anything this tournament. I ended up having 2 mirror matches, but my first one was against Rachel from Bats. It was really fun to get into like 4+ Hulk situations on one point, and to have those weird situations and weird rule bending with like injury and combat support and
Like everything stacking at the same time.
Everything stacking and being super unpredictable because everything has revolting resilient. It was really fun, and I think that one was relatively close, but I was able to pull out the win just right at the end, just kind of scooping up a couple more things. But I love that match. It took forever.
You also had like a 6-man shot with your leader, right? Or something like that. You hit like 5 or 6 models with it.
That was, yes, I did.
Yeah.
I think I hit 5 things with his pyro guy.
Yeah, because that's when I finished my game and walked over to see what you how you were doing, and you were like, "Hey, yeah, I just hit 6 guys," and you're like, "I was
was
like,
it
huh?
was it like equipment and stuff, or was it like mutants?
I think it was a healthy mix.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it was mostly small
still.
guys.
I mean,
that
either
many
way,
guys
that's
being
huge,
stacked up
but
for a torrent.
how many did
attack
you
is
kill?
insane.
I think I killed like 2 or 3 and then hit.
Okay.
It's pretty good on the other ones.
Yeah.
But it was our first match. We only got to the end of the 3rd turning point by kind of talking out the last few activations. But with Gellerpox, they just take so long. Half of my games never finished the 3rd turn, or like got to the 3rd turning point, never finished, which kind of sucks sometimes if you're doing better in the late game or if your opponent is, because you're kind of stunting them for that. But it's so hard with so many models and trying to be tactical because it's a tournament.
I mean, we have what? Like, I think it was hour 45.
It was 2 hours per game, and then
but you had like a setup
set up the
time.
board, set up the map,
Yeah.
do all the pre-game stuff. So it came down to an hour and a half, hour 45 if you were, being slow. So
Right. But my 3rd game was against Zach. He brought Breachers. Very much in the same boat as Brett, where they were pretty new to me. I don't think I maybe played 1 proxy game against.
That would have been against Nate.
It was against Nate.
I was using Breacher models to proxy the Blooded team.
Right.
Ago,
Yeah.
but
So very little experience.
Basically, nothing.
Group wide,
Yeah.
it was very little experience.
And he brought Gellerpox to the Chicago Open, so he knew exactly what was going on. And it was really fun because I talked to him at that tournament, and I talked to him here when I was playing against him, and he wiped the floor with me. But it was fun to watch him like put me in the worst situations possible because he knew exactly how to do it. Just having those discussions afterwards, it was pretty cool to see him, calculate every single move and possibility.
Did you finish that game, like turning point 4? Or...
I think so.
Okay.
I think we finished that one because I was just losing models left and right.
Okay.
I think we might have talked out like a couple of the end stuff, but pretty much ended that one.
I think Zach went on to do pretty well too overall.
He took
did
4th, I believe.
He did not. Anthony took 4th.
He was in top.
He was definitely top 8.
I think he was.
He was either.
He was below me.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Because there was a Breachers player that took.
Either way, he did really well.
He did very well.
I don't know what it was
I
exactly.
thought it was top 8 because
Maybe.
I know.
But he did quite well, so it doesn't surprise me that he was able to.
There
take
was
it
definitely
so well.
Breachers in the top 8 for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it might have been 6th then. I think I don't know. It was something in the top 8 though.
He was in the top group of players.
He was up there.
He was up there. He was very good at what he was doing. And then my 7th game, or no, sorry, my 5th game was against Trey. He brought Pathfinders. Trey had never played against Gellerpox before. This is his first game, so there was a lot of me trying to teach him as many mechanics as I could because there's a lot with Gellerpox, and like try not to get like have a gotcha moment with things.
But also not give too much away.
But not to give too much away. And I hadn't played against Pathfinders in so long because Brett has Pathfinders and he hasn't played them in months, basically.
Yeah.
So it was new for me. I was kind of like a second day, seeing how things go. But it's great. I ended up winning that one. I think by a little bit. But at the end, I asked him how do you think of Gellerpox? And he thought they were cool, and he was able to basically tell me exactly how they work and like what works best with them, and I thought that was super cool that he was able to picked that up like right away.
As quickly as it did.
Yeah. You know, we were able to just kind of hang out, and I voted for him as my best sportsmanship.
Best sports, yeah.
Because I thought he was just a really cool guy, and he mostly did AOS, so doing more of like this heavier kill team stuff was new for him. So, good props to him.
Cool. So I guess it's on me now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So my first one I'm going to talk about was round. I think it was also round 5 because I think it was sitting right next to you when you played your Frontline game. It was against Alex. I think his last name is Squires. He's Alex Admack from the West Coast, so he's a pretty popular dude. He won the SoCal Open last year, so but he was playing Hunter Clay. That's kind of his thing, you know. And it was a very, very intense game, and I think. Personally, I feel like I played that game near perfection against Hunter Clade. And I used to main Hunter Clade for a while last year, did a couple US Opens with him. So I knew exactly how to fight against them. I knew exactly what their weaknesses were, what they could do with their imperatives and their ploys and stuff. So it was interesting playing against them in that way. It was also his second time playing against Blooded, so it was me explaining a lot of the profiles for Melee and what they could do with their Blooded tokens and stuff like that. So I think that helped a lot. I think it was also a very confident matchup. Like I said, I did a lot of planning the previous day because I knew it was either going to be him or Breachers in the next round. So I was able to kind of think through what operatives I was going to take and what operatives weren't going to do as much. And so that also helped. It was basically the first couple turning points were all just me pushing up the board and him trying to get a shot with his Surveyor and Plasma combo, which I didn't let him get. He also ended up spending a CP for Pursuers, which allows him to flip 2 more orders with Rangers in the first turning point, and he didn't flip a single order. Mm-hmm. So I basically let him burn a CP, and then never let him get a shot off. So it was kind of a waste of a turning point for him, while I was able to push up the board and get a couple objectives and stuff. The second turning point, I was able to score 2 VPs off of Tac Ops from 1 kill because I flipped eliminate Executioner and Eliminate Guards on my sniper, targeting a normal dude on a objective on the ground, and killed him and got 2 points right away. And then having my sniper in concealed on a vantage point, and Hunter Clay not having any form of indirect. Basically, he was untouched the entire game, so it helped a lot. But yeah, really cool dude. He gave me a lot of props on playing Blooded so well for taking him to the first tournament. Oh yeah, I guess I took Blooded. So it's a more a nicher team than most. Kind of with Kazarkin, a lot of people were surprised I took him and placed decent with him. So, but Alex thought I played phenomenally with them, and it was just a very good game all around. It was very good. My second win I'm going to talk about was against George as well, so Breachers again. My very last match of the day on Sunday. He had just gotten done off of playing 11 games because he did the Challenger pods on Friday, so he was exhausted. But it was on a map that was super hard to deploy on, especially for 2 very shooty teams. We were thinking out every possible shot, and took almost 45 minutes deploying. So we were very rushed, starting that game and finishing that game. We ended up finishing Turning Point 4, so we got through the entirety of the game. And what had happened is he tried shooting my plasma with his plasma and whiffed. He re-rolled 3 dice back into fails, didn't get a single hit, and then also did 6 mortals to himself. So he absolutely whiffed a very important shot in the 3rd turning point, and that was kind of the turning point of the turning point, I guess. Yeah.
So we both had a game against George where his plasma didn't really get to do anything. That's unfortunate.
And he looked down at the dice and he shook his head. He knew exactly what had happened. But it was, I think, for me personally, it was a little bit easier playing against Breachers because I had looked on Wahapedia about a lot of their rules and what their interactions could be, and I was able to kind of play around with them and I guess, be a little bit more aggressive because I can punish breachers for being so close to me, you know? But just a very good game, very close. I think it ended like 15-18 or 15-19. It was pretty close. It was pretty much that last turning point I was able to secure 4 of the objectives and turn the game. So, and then my last loss, or my loss I'm going to talk about was Orion, second matchup of Saturday. It was kind of a grudge match from Kansas City, but we knew exactly who we were, and it was kind of cool playing against him again. He ended up going on to win LVO, so of course.
Yep.
But he was playing Gellerpox. It was on a board setup that I played against Gellerpox in a practice matchup, and did not like the board at all. I think it strongly favored a team like Gellerpox because it was super dense, super heavy, corner deployment, so they could get to the middle a lot faster.
Yeah.
Especially with drawn to the hum, they could dash forward instantly and then start moving on to the objectives. And that game, I completely whiffed an Ogren fight against Volgarar. And I think I got 1 hit, and then he saved 3 of the 5 damage. And then he outright killed the Ogren at 16 health, and it was just a sad day.
Wow.
I also ended up whiffing a plasma shot on Volgarar and got 1 hit, 2 1s overcharged. So, and then he saved like 3 or 4 of that damage. So it was not good. And then the rest of the Hulks were able to push up and just kind of wipe my board. But it was a fun matchup. It was definitely cool playing Blooded into Gellerpox in a tournament setting against a teammate or against a player that like was a very, very good player. Like very healthy, very like you talk things out, you know, you play by intent. Knew what he was doing, but also wasn't super toxic about it.
Right.
So that was a very fun matchup. And you know, congrats to him for winning. So
Absolutely.
But those were my 3 matchups that I was going to talk about. So
what was your guys? What were you guys overall?
I was going to say I missed my placement. I placed 48th, which is okay. I wanted to have more wins than losses. I think I was it was 7 games, so it was 3 wins, 4 losses.
Yeah.
There were some games where it's like I felt like if I had just been slightly luckier, if I just played slightly better, like I would have won those games. So I really don't feel too bad about it, but I was relatively
Your
happy.
first tournament, though.
It was also your first
you
tournament.
can't feel too bad about that.
And
so.
you had a game where it was just all dice luck, right? Your second
Yeah,
Gellerpox
it
was a lot of like just bad dice rolls and stuff.
It was a lot of melee combats that I ended up just completely whiffing over and over, and like I needed those to go through, and I just ran out of time.
I mean, you can't really help that. So.
And with time, like that kind of messed me up too. Not completing games, not getting full points.
Yeah.
So that knocks me down the bracket.
2 of my losses were both games I didn't finish, and it really sucked because you know who knows how those games would have gone. So.
What was your final place?
I placed 26th. There was one game in particular where if I could have gotten to the middle of the board and secured an objective, I could have swung it the other way. But you know, it is all just what ifs at this point. So I can't be too sad. I was also playing Blooded, and they're not really notoriously known as like a super competitive or meta team. So it's nice to place as well as I did and have those super intense games that I was able to win while playing them. So all open board too. So it was very not super good for Blooded.
And then Nate couldn't be here with us today, but
he died. No, I'm just kidding. he's
so
passed on.
Nate brought Legionaries as he brought to Chicago. I think he ran pretty much all. He ran all Nurgle.
He ran all Nurgle. I think except for one matchup against Intercession. I think he went a couple Corn.
Did he?
Just because it was just a lot of, you know, elite versus elite like actions. So yeah, overall, I know Nate went 4-3. I know he had a pretty good time as well. Anyway, do we know what his placement was? It was 36, I believe.
I think
that
36? Sounds right.
Yeah, 36, 38, somewhere in the high 30s. But I know that he had a lot of matchups where he didn't really know what to do. So I know he played against Starstriders and Gellerpox. And those were 2 matchups where he hadn't played against them, or at least very much. so he didn't have a whole lot of experience.
He also played a lot of elite teams.
Yes,
He did.
Yeah, he
played
played
more than any of
a
us.
legionary and 2
Yeah.
intercession, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And so, which
I know
I
he
think
he played against Janice in
he
his
played
first
against
game.
Janice.
Which
Yeah,
is a tough matchup.
Yeah.
'cause
was it first?
first
Yes,
game.
it was first game.
Yep,
That's
first game.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
And she ended up
She
placing.
did place top 8.
She
I think
placed
she took
8th. She placed 8th.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a formidable matchup for him.
Yeah.
And I remember him talking about how it was like very close. It was like a 1 or 2 point difference.
Yeah.
And I think he had 1 model left, she had 2. So it was very, very close. But
I do recall him saying too that Janice had taken security and that she had made it look so easy
to do
She
it,
did a really
yeah.
good job with an elite team on security, but then when he had tried it
in a later game,
he said it
didn't
was
work out
very
well.
difficult, and I want to say he maybe lost that game. I'm not certain.
I think so.
But he
I
did
think
say that he was not nearly as proficient with it
Right,
as she was.
yeah.
So, props to her for that.
And then I know he had, like I said, the Star Starters matchup, which he had actually come to me about because I have the team. I've played him a couple of times. And, the advice I told him ended up winning him that game, which is kind of cool because I don't know if he would have won that game otherwise. So,
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, not being
I
able to
believe
practice against certain teams can be very hard. Having nothing.
Seeing him for the first time
but,
at a tournament.
Star Starters are also kind of weak against elites. So, who knows how that game works.
Except for their god beam.
Yeah, their beam of light that just disintegrates people. So,
But overall, that was all our placements and our games we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think we should talk a little bit more about LVO and just kind
overall.
of stuff that happened, players that were there, and maybe touch up a little bit on the top 8, just because there's some players that we knew.
Yeah.
So, I know, like I said, Orion won that game or won that tournament. He ended up getting a golden ticket for the next grand final at the end of this year, so that's kind of cool. And then I know, like we said, Janice was in the top 8. I know there was
Wormblade took 4th.
Chris Bakke and John Reese were both there.
Yep.
So 3 of the previous New Mexico GT players were there.
Yep.
Which was very
it was a very good,
very competitive
high-skill
mix.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, I think top 3 were what
Gellerbox,
Pathfinders, and Intercession, right?
Was it Intercession?
I think Intercession. So, nothing we haven't seen before.
Nothing too crazy, yeah.
But there were a few teams that were up in the top 8 that weren't really expected. So that was kind of cool.
There were some teams there that were like one person took them.
Yes.
So there was Hyrotech Circle,
Warp Coven,
Hyrotech Circle,
Warp
Coven.
There was a
Somebody
Death
took
Guard player.
Death Guard and Hive Fleet.
yeah.
And Hive.
So
Yeah.
and
Tyranids.
High Fleet did really well.
Hive Fleet,
Yeah.
I think
So, that guy's
Tyranids
watching,
took
good
20 something.
28th or something like that.
Yeah.
He was
Really good.
pretty good
Really
for compendium team.
Yeah.
I know there was also a compendium Craft World team, so Eldar, and 2 Deathwatch teams,
Yeah.
which
There's
I think
2 Deathwatch
there were 2 Deathwatch teams, and a compendium Kroot team.
Right.
Somebody
Yes,
took
yeah.
them, but
Alright.
they didn't do very well. But still bravo to them
Good for them.
for taking them at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. I think the terrain was something that I thought was I loved the terrain personally. I was actually
Yeah,
a really big fan
I
of it.
really enjoyed the terrain. Nate said something at the tournament that kind of got me thinking, and I do agree with him. There were a couple of maps that were made that were very much one-sided. Like if you could have had the choice to deploy on one side, that one side had
just
a
in
clear
terms
advantage
of cover you're talking
of
about,
cover
right?
or having an advantage that was closer to their drop zone or
Yeah,
something.
okay, they're
Something
definitely-
that kind of, which I remember listening to a podcast recently about Dakota talking about LVO, and that was actually his intention.
Was it?
He wanted one side to have a slight advantage over the other to give defender an advantage.
Sure.
So if that was his intention, good for him. He made it possible. I definitely felt that in some of my matchups.
Yeah. It wasn't like a landslide advantage.
No,
though.
but it was
No,
definitely
yeah.
like there was a clear
Yeah.
advantage to choosing one side over the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but otherwise, I mean, the terrain, I loved it. It was, I was contemplating buying a set, but it was just so expensive.
It is expensive,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
is definitely good stuff. There's some really fancy stuff there too. Like they have like the Necron terrain and
The
all that
Necron
stuff.
terrain,
Really cool stuff.
the,
Just something a little bit different.
I think it
So-
was like Chalnath style, like
Yeah.
cathedral
Yes.
almost.
Yeah.
very detailed and
like
very cool.
And like smaller, more pieces, so that you could like
Yep.
customize.
Yeah,
the
it was
boards
very
better.
modular. You could move stuff
Yeah.
around and
Yep.
like get rid of cover lines in certain spots and stuff, which was also his intention. So
Right.
it was kind of cool playing on that terrain and going back and watching LVO from 2022 and seeing that terrain and then now being able to play on it was just a cool
very
experience.
cool.
So
There were many things given away. That
lots
was cool.
of
giveaways.
There
Yeah.
were raffles,
Yeah.
and there was a competition to guess how many Eldar.
how many
whatever,
Eldar Guardians were in a jar?
Yeah.
And there was like
And that won a
120
big Eldar board
or 170
with, like,
something. in
Eldar
that jar.
terrain and stuff. Which
Somebody
was pretty cool.
ended up guessing the exact amount. That was cool.
117.
Was it 117?
117.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of cool then. Yeah.
So
And
That's
then they ended up giving away all the top 8 players got a free ticket to the All Valley Team Tournament, which is happening in August. It's held by
Pasadena,
Squad
isn't
Games
it?
again.
it's Pasadena.
Yeah, Pasadena, California.
Yep.
So they all got tickets for that, and then first place got a ticket to KTO next month or this upcoming month, like a couple weeks. But that was Orion, and Orion helps host that tournament, so he gave away that ticket, and he ended up giving it away to me. So I got a free ticket to KTO, which if we want to talk about that and kind of segue into that, that would be kind of cool if we're done talking about that. This.
So KTO at the time of recording this is coming up in like 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
even, I
yeah.
think, just under. So Blayne and I will be attending that one.
Yep.
So we'll have a subsequent video coming up for that eventually. We
We
are.
represent Six-Sided Legion,
That's right. I
Put in the
believe-
name right.
Get our ITC ranking up on there,
I'll try. That one is going to be all into the dark, so it's going to be the opposite.
The complete
of
opposite.
This.
Yeah.
I believe, trying not to spoil too much, I believe we are thinking similar teams.
Similar teams,
So,
possibly. It'll be interesting because we've never done an all into the dark tournament before.
And this one's going to be 8 games.
8 games.
Eight games.
It's also using all the new stuff, which we have very, very minimal practice on so far. So
True. Yep.
it'll be interesting.
Yep.
So
it'll be a good one.
and then that one's held in Baltimore.
It is. Yes.
Hosted by, I think it's hosted by Plasma Spam, right?
I
maybe?
don't know for sure.
I know Orion's helping,
Orion is going to be
and
there
he's gonna be
helping
cooking.
that. I know there's. Yeah.
But I
Not
don't
certain.
remember what group he's a part of, but his name is Steve. I don't know his last name. He's hosting the event.
Okay.
But that's as much as I know.
Sure.
Right.
That one should be interesting. That'll be like the KTO. Obviously, Kill Team Open's gonna be only Kill Team
Yep.
as opposed
And
to
it's-
LVO with everything else that was there. So
it's competing
should be super
currently for
interesting.
the biggest Kill Team event this year so far. So, so we'll see which one comes out on top.
Do you know how many players they have?
So it's max of 100 tickets. They can't do
Okay.
any more than that. I think they have less than 10 tickets left to sell. So we'll see after people drop or don't show up on that first day. So
By the time this video's out, they're probably gone. But
yeah,
you could try.
yeah. And I know a couple of people from LVO are going to be there.
Yep.
I know a whole bunch of people that we've played with before at like Chicago and stuff are going to be there.
Yep.
So it'll definitely be up there for very competitive. I don't know if it's golden ticket or not. I don't know if we ever.
I don't know
that.
I don't know if it's been determined or not.
But we'll see if that has any play on
Yep.
on people and trying to win. So
Either way, as we've already stated in previous videos, if anybody is interested in the Kill Team Tournament, I highly suggest it. It's super fun. You meet a lot of cool
a lot
people.
of experience.
You learn a lot.
I personally at Vegas met a lot of people that I've talked to on the Discords and never met in person. So that was cool. Dakota, Chris, Alex, like all those people I'd never met but talked to or on Discord. So it was cool meeting all of them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And again, there's a huge, wide range of people there of all experience levels, and obviously
people
of
bringing
teams.
compendium teams all the way up to the newest teams.
Right.
So
it gives you a lot of opportunity to see new stuff and talk to new people, see how they play. If you're not playing the same person at your local store or friends over and over again, it kind of gets the same.
Kind of gets stale, but
I would argue 97% of players are like great opponents, like people you want to meet and play against. Like occasionally you get somebody, but most of the time, like it's most of your games are very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like, I don't know, you don't get any like crazy people. Like,
Yeah, you don't get a whole lot of like toxicity or like actually kind of players.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is a very good game.
Yeah. Staff are always like super personable and like super willing to talk to you about stuff.
Yeah.
And they've been great. Every
So
tournament
far,
we've been to has been fantastic.
Exceptional. Yeah.
So we've got a Reddit, we've got Instagram, YouTube, of course. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And TikTok. And then I thought we had Twitter. We also have a Twitter. I've got everything wrapped up into one link tree, so that way you can just click that link and get to that social media, and see some of the content that we will be posting here, either before this video comes out or right as this video is coming out.
Right.
So
we're working on
more of that. It'll probably be in the description. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we put that in there.
Check that out. Give us likes, follows, subscribes on all that. So
we got some stuff cooking. We've got stuff recorded. We're
just
we're
getting
doing
through the
editing.
editing
and then we'll have a KTO video coming out in about a month or so.
Probably,
after these guys
a
come
month
back
or
and
3 weeks. Yeah.
So,
are there any battle reports people would specifically like to see? We have a lot of teams. Yeah. So we can always take suggestions.
I think we're only missing a couple of the bespoke teams, and then of
which-
course a lot of the compendium teams. But
Sure, but
if you really care,
really want to see them.
yeah, that way we have them painted up and ready and stuff.
True.
If you guys want to see something, so
Even if it's a rematch of something we've already done, that's fine too. It'll be different map, all that stuff. So
Plus-
we can have other people playing them.
Plus,
So-
Into the Dark terrain is getting done, so we will be able to start
Right.
recording some of that stuff. So, just a little segue into what we have planned.
perfect. Thank you guys for watching. Keep a lookout for some future tournament stuff, and check out our link tree below. Thanks. Bye.